What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bob's Garage. And I did it last night. I finally had a chance to double check that my transmission was filled properly. I got really excited. So like I filled up the transmission. I had to wait for it to cool down, but when I first opened the drain port on the trans, some fluid came out, and I was like, so I guess it's full. So I waited, let the engine or the transmission cool even more. It was about like 38 degrees when I cracked it open. So I let it cool down to about 30. I pumped it full. It didn't really take much before it was coming out of the drain again already. And then I followed the procedure to a T. So I got back in the car, started the engine, and I gave it a solid 10 seconds in every single gear. So I shifted it with my foot on the brake in every gear for 10 seconds each. Went back. I was able to pump in almost 2 quarts into the transmission, and I was like, oh hell yeah, this is awesome. So it was low. Well, I'm doing cleanup, and I look in my catch pan that was underneath the drain port, and I had about 3 quarts of fluid in the catch pan. I don't think there was actually 3 quarts that came out. I'm sure a bunch of that was like in my fluid pump in the lines. But so I was like, well, maybe I overfilled. Maybe like I took out more than I added. So I went on a test drive, and I don't know if you can tell the camera's shaking and stuff, but we're still having the same issue. So yeah, trans is almost up to operating temp. Now, you know, if I put it into Tiptronic mode, you can see it's still doing it in 5th gear, but if I shift down, once the torque converter locks, it's fine. But yeah, I hate to say it, but from all the testing I've been logging, doing data logs on the transmission and the torque converter and all that, I believe I got a bad torque converter. So I did not want to, you know, kind of throw that out there initially before testing everything and checking everything. But I don't know, guys. I didn't have any of these problems before I took the car apart, and now this is just like, it's just an ongoing issue. So fluid level's okay, everything else is okay, but I cannot recommend the Street Sauce torque converter from Advanced Automotion. I don't know, they just, what I'll say is they also have a policy, a strict policy of you have to return your core. If you're going to send them in a core and get your money back, you have to send them in your core within 45 days. So I wanted to wait until my car was completely done and everything was tested before I sent them anything. And you know, I went back to him. This was about 3 months after I got the torque converter. I said, hey, you know, where do you want me to send this to get the core charge? So I guess he looked up his records, and he said that I was outside of their 45-day limit or something. He was gonna make an exception for me. I showed him all my documentation showing, like, dude, I've been working on my car like for literally 3 months. Can you help me out? And he said, yeah, you know what, I'll do it. So then I kind of kept going, messaging him. I'm like, well, where do you want me to send this to? What address? What I found interesting was when I bought the torque converter, it was from Advanced Automotion, but it came from a whole different other company. And the torque converter itself had a sticker with a different company's name on it, I believe. I'm not sure what's going on here. So the guy never got back to me from Advanced Automotion, never got my core charge back. And at this point, I'm almost like thankful that I still have my stock torque converter. My stock torque converter was clunking a little bit, but it wasn't doing this shit. It was better. It was better than this one that I just paid $800 for. So the only thing I can come up with is I'm gonna have to at some point just most likely bite the bullet and replace it with a different one, like the Rev Max, I believe it's called, or fuck it, just get another stock torque converter. My goal of action from here is I'm just gonna drive it. It's drivable, it's okay, it's just not working properly. So when I go through the RPMs, you can see it like engage, and then like car kind of bogs down, or the engine bogs down, and then it goes. Like, but like I will say, like when it locks, the car pulls like a freight train, but when it's slipping and surging, it's just not. It's so sketchy. So I hate to throw all this out there. I know there's a bunch of people that are running these torque converters that have no issues. So I don't know if it's a quality control issue. I don't know if it's like a third-party issue, like maybe they make their own normally, but they outsource this. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just not happy. So the only other thought is I can try to swap out my upgraded TCU with my stock TCU. Maybe that'll make a difference. I really doubt it. I'm gonna ask around, but the TCU is the transmission control unit. It's located underneath the passenger carpeting, and it's in this black box. And I had, you know, when I first got the car, I had went out and got an upgraded TCU, and it's supposed to help shift faster and stuff like that. That's the only thing I can think that might be causing the surging or something. Like my upgraded torque converter is like 200 RPMs higher stall than my stock one, and that 200 RPMs is that surge that I'm seeing. So I'll try it, but I don't know, guys. So let me know your experience with upgraded torque converters. I don't have any experience with transmissions or anything like that, so I've been asking around, trying to get help, assistance. Everyone's giving me ideas, tips, tricks. A few people were convinced that it was just low transmission fluid. Last night I made sure damn well that the transmission was completely level when I filled it. I also like I said, I went through the exact proper procedure. I even waited until the transmission cooled down to the exact range that they said. They said you shouldn't work on it until it's under 30 degrees Celsius, and I was using Torque for that. Torque is the name of my smartphone app that gives me OBD2 info and all that. And then it says like basically like check it in between like 35 and 40 degrees Celsius. It says if the transmission gets to 40 degrees Celsius to put the drain plug back in. Like don't mess with it above that operating range. So that's what I did. I don't know other than I can just I'll have to do some videos of me doing some polls and stuff to kind of show what it's doing. It's also making noise. So when I cold start, you can hear it like kind of whining a little bit. When I'm starting out in first gear, you can hear whining, and this is different or separate from my turbo whine. You know what I mean? So that's it, guys. I just kind of wanted to get an update out to you all and just kind of let you know what's going on. It's just not happy. When I pulled the engine and trans, one of my preventative maintenance things was to replace the torque converter preventatively. So my old one was the stock one, had 156,000 miles on it. It like I said, it was banging, clunking. Every once in a while it would slip just a little bit, but nothing like what I'm experiencing now. So, and as you guys know, to get to the torque converter, it's not really easy. You gotta pull the whole engine and trans out and then separate them. So I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. I don't know if I'm just gonna end up getting a new car, or if I'm gonna you know, keep it, drive it, whatever, and then maybe try to address this next winter when it's not my busy season. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.